This is Bike Trails Podcast with Christina and Alan. We hope you enjoy listening. Hey everyone, it's Alan.
And Christine.
And it's only been a few minutes, about 2 years, I think, since we last recorded a podcast. Today we're in the beautiful town of Füssen, which is very far south in Bayern, almost on the it's actually on the border of Austria, and we're ready to do a tour this weekend. But I think we should back up and tell everyone what's going on with us and bike touring since we last recorded something. We had been recording each day our Italy and Germany and Austria trip 2 years ago, and we just ended up not recording at all on our last trip last year, which was from Kiel in Germany to Skagen at the very tip of Denmark. So, Christina, how was that tour for you? Because I remember literally a lot of wind in my face every day, the whole time for 2.5 weeks.
Well, you remember correctly. I thought it's flat and it's along the ocean and I can look nicely and in a relaxed way out on the ocean while cycling along. But it was not that way. It was very, very cold.
Yeah, it was
super windy. Sometimes it rained, although June is the favorite travel season up there in Denmark.
That's
and
right.
People said, oh, you can even go and bath in the ocean. But for me, no.
I'd like to meet one of those people.
Yes, I'm a warm bath taker.
Sure.
And that was out of range for me at all. But it was still a very nice trip because it was nice nature. We actually saw a lot of water.
Mm-hmm.
We saw all of the sheep behind the dam.
Mm-hmm.
We had nice but very expensive food and drinks.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. That's worth talking about.
When we were eventually, after like pushing our bikes for 30 minutes through the sand up to the very northern tip in Skagen, It was a very nice feeling.
Yes.
And we had a very nice picture taken from us there.
Yeah, I mean, the whole trip was quite interesting because when we were planning this Denmark trip, we thought, well, I thought the same thing as you. Like we were going to be quite close to the ocean because you look at the photographs in the tour guides and you're right next to the ocean all the time. And to be fair, I mean, we were next to the ocean many times, but not like a lot. Like it was just a little bit here and there. We were on really like well manicured, really perfect bike lanes and roads, but in from the ocean, in from the water, through little villages and little holiday home enclaves and little towns. And when we did come to the water, there was always a little town. It was always, a campground and some hotels and some downtown areas. It was always quite nice, but there were long stretches where we were just lost in the dune forest for 4 or 5 or 6 hours just going to our next place.
Mm-hmm. And during one of those really lonely escapades through the forest area where it was during that day quite hot and
that was
we were
hot.
very thirsty, my shifting stopped working.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was... So you have a Shimano GRX 810 system.
I had.
Well, yeah. And this was brand new from a couple of years and it was always well maintained. And then one day you just couldn't shift anymore. And it turns out inside the shifter on the handlebar, like one of the tiniest small little pieces just broke.
And that was bad luck because on that day we had some hills.
Yeah.
And my chain was stuck in the second hardest gear. And I do remember when I was saying, I am not getting on
this was crazy.
bike. I will rather cry and yell and I will cycle up standing while swearing what I did.
So I was able to fix it a little bit. So basically the problem was you could not shift more than one up or one down from whatever position the chain was in. So
this is how you fixed it, yes.
Right. So I moved the chain into the center of the cassette in the back. like not a super easy, but like reasonably easy, but you only had one easier gear or one harder gear. So like when you had to do some of those dune hills that were like pretty challenging, but not very long, like you didn't have anywhere to go. Like you just had to tough it out. And I remember you were screaming and I was like, what is this eagle like screeching sound ahead of me? And you were really angry. But it was
that gave me the power to ride
exactly,
up the hill
exactly,
because I
yeah.
was so angry. And we also found out something that if you really have a big repair problem where you need professional help, you are completely lost because once it was in the early stage of our tour, Alan drove over a stone or whatever it was, I don't know, or a glass piece, and he had a hole in the outer mantle of
on the side of the tire.
On the side of the tire,
it just
in the
tore
front
through the tire.
And we somehow fixed it by, your tire fix
So
stuff.
I used
What
a
was
tire
that?
boot, like a Park Tool tire boot, and lots of glue and some stitching and another tube. And it was really crazy because it looked like this giant tumor on the side of my tire that I was running through for, I don't know, how many days did I do it like that?
It was on day 3, I think.
Yeah.
So it was...
It took us over a week to find a bike shop that we would be able to fix it. Yeah.
And we had to do a big detour to find the bike shop.
Yeah, it was like a 100-kilometer detour back and forth to find the place that we wanted to go.
But let's come back to the financial needs you have to...
Yeah. So Denmark is a beautiful place. It's a nature paradise. I mean, really, I have to say it. There's nothing bad about the place. It's really, really wonderful. But unless you have the means, you should steer clear of a Danish holiday.
It was as expensive, although we was only having cheaper hotels, bed and breakfasts, and campsites. It was as much worth than a 5-star luxurious 2-week holiday on a Caribbean island.
Yeah, it was really, really surprising to me that you would spend, I don't know, a pizza and a beer was like, I don't know, 35 euros.
No, it was not. For 2 people on the first day in Tonda.
Oh, yeah,
I
Tonda.
do remember.
Yeah.
We sat down. It was a very nice and
Tonda
beautiful day.
is a city just over the German-Danish border in the south.
And one realizes that you are in Denmark because directly at the border, the bike roads are maintained on the Danish side and super crappy on the German side.
It goes from like random piles of glass in Germany to like silky smooth bike lanes in Denmark.
Race bike highway. So when we arrived in Tonda, we were super thirsty. It was a sunny day. We sat down on a super nice, cozy cafe restaurant place in the middle of the market area.
That was beautiful.
And 2 beers were like 25 euros. And then I was like, what? We didn't even eat something? And then I found out, oh, this is just the normal pricing here.
Yeah.
And this night we went to a pizzeria and I didn't get the Danish kronen correctly. But then when I calculated how much that cost, 2 pizzas and 2 drinks and 1 espresso was 115 euros.
Yeah.
And I was hyperventilating because I'm not cheap, but we didn't have like a 3-course.
We're not seeking luxury, you know what I mean?
No, not at all.
Exactly,
we just wanted to have a simple food meal.
Sure.
And I think I didn't even have a pizza. I had a tiny little pasta bowl.
You had a pasta, yes.
Yes, I had a special pasta that he recommended that I might
It was a
have.
very nice restaurant. The guy was from Italy and he was hanging out there and working, I guess, because his brother was not there anymore.
Yes, his brother was having the restaurant and he was telling us that in the summer times he worked there and in the winter times he went back to Italy. But still, I thought that was an exception, but no, it was going on like this. And then I had to completely block it out and then it was fine. And afterwards, I didn't even check how much it was so that I wouldn't be angry about it. And since you can pay even
I was going to say that, yes.
by just holding your mobile phone if you have it installed or your card towards a card reader, the point is we never even changed 1 single euro.
I don't even know what a Danish krone looks like.
I don't also know because we didn't need one. So everything you could pay without cash in the bakery, wherever you went, in the
ice cream cone.
In the ice cream cone,
Yes.
you know, if you just want to buy some chewing gums, you know, everything. And that is so cool. And what I also have to say, Denmark is it's like a paradise on earth.
Yeah,
they had
nice.
picturesque villages that were so clean and nicely done where we were riding through that I sometimes thought, are real people living here, or is it in that movie where the guy lives in that...
The Truman Show.
Yes, the Truman Show. This is how I felt sometimes, you know, that these are fake people and they are fake
just waving
living
at you.
a fake paradise life, you know. And that was really nice. And what we also did in Denmark, what was beautiful, when we took over to that island where we could ride Faro, where you could ride kilometers long.
I think it was about 10 kilometers.
It was beautiful
on the water,
on the beach, on the sand, because they also did did they do this windsurfing with the...
Yeah, they have these little 3-wheel buggies that you get in, and it
with
has
a kite on it.
Yeah, it has a sail, like a little boat sail, and you go with the wind, and you move fast, and someone follows you in the car because you go 7 or 8 kilometers with this thing until you stop. And then they pack everything in the car and they drive back to the front and they do it again.
Yeah, but you could also sail back.
You would have to tack back left
and
right.
When I was in the Northern Sea a month ago, they had this too, and they just sailed back. Yeah, this was also very.
It was fabulous to ride out there. Actually, I'd say that was one of my most favorite experiences from the whole trip, because I've never had the experience to ride on the sand beach, because it was hard enough to easily ride your bike.
Yes,
you know, it was quite nice.
Yes,
and to be fair, there was some other places along the trip. Now we were doing the west coast of Denmark, Eurovelo route. It was
the northwest coastal route.
Correct. So we followed this route, and it took you to really nice places, but some of the times it took you out onto a beach that wasn't necessarily hard packed, or into a dune area where it was just ankle deep loose sand.
And you couldn't ride your bike.
And you couldn't ride. In fact, we were riding, and the only place was packed, solid enough were some tire tracks. And if you somehow didn't follow that, you just ran in. I fell down a couple of times, you just fall into the sand, but it was fine. And so the route was very good. I thought the route was fantastic.
Yes.
But it definitely had areas where there was no possibility for you to ride your bike. You had to push the bike. Yeah. So anyhow, we went all the way up to the very, very tip of Skagen, and you come to this visitor center. I guess there's a little museum there and maybe a restaurant or something. But then you can continue to walk out onto the beach, and we pushed our bikes for at least a half an hour. I don't know, several kilometers, I think, out to the very, very tip of Skagen, where the two water bodies come together, and you can see the waves from both, I guess, the East Sea and the North Sea. Is that right?
I actually forgot what it was.
I'm not sure. I think, I don't really think it's the East Sea. I think it's probably this water that comes between Copenhagen and Sweden. I don't know what the name of that is. But these two water bodies come together, and the waves break at each other, and it's fabulous and beautiful. And there was...
Skagerrak and Kattegat.
Yes, Kattegat.
So it's one East Sea ocean and one North Sea.
Exactly.
And it was really nice,
and they're
because...
different colors?
Yeah, different colors coming together.
Sure.
And different waves from the left and the side, then colliding in the middle, and you see the line.
Yeah,
and it's very
it goes out quite far.
Yes.
As your eye sees, you have these little waves crashing together. I mean, not dramatic, but... a little bit. And it was quite nice.
And I saw the biggest jellyfish that I could imagine.
Yeah, it was littered with jellyfishes.
Yes.
There were thousands of them all along the beach. Some were on the beach, and people who don't know what jellyfish are were walking in the water and poking at them. And I did not want to get involved with this at all. But so we made it to Skagen, and originally our idea was we were going to continue to ride down south to Copenhagen and then maybe ride on to some of the other islands. But because of your gearing and my tire and all of that, we decided, you know what, we're just going to take the train. And then we went and got a Flixbus, and we took a very, very long, 12-hour Flixbus?
I don't know. From where did it start?
It was some northern Danish city. I totally forget.
It's a beautiful university
very,
city.
very
It was
nice.
To Berlin.
Directly to Berlin.
And it was an overnight bus
Yes.
that left around 6 or 7 at
yeah.
night, and we arrived in the
7.
morning at 7.
It's like 10 or 12 hours.
Yeah. And people were coughing and sneezing and snouting
Oh my God.
all night long. But it was very cheap. They took our bikes and we arrived in Berlin.
It was safe. It was fine.
Yeah.
They had the world's smallest toilet on the bus, and it all worked out. And then we arrived in Berlin, and I don't know, I think we were out in Charlottenburg area.
No, we were not.
We were not?
With the bus?
With the bus.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we had to ride from
Yes.
there into Mitte, where our hotel was, and that was really fun, on the island.
Yeah, that's correct. But because we couldn't do it because of my shifting, I missed out on Bornholm.
Yeah,
where I
Bornholm
really
would have
wanted to
been
go.
beautiful.
So this is another place where we have
We're going to have to go back.
We have to go back, saving some money up, and then
Well,
no matter.
Bornholm, is that still Denmark?
Yes, I think it belongs to
Is it?
Denmark
Okay.
still. I'm not sure, but I think so. But it also should be beautiful, and we could go to Rügen and then from there take a ferry or
Rügen,
something.
we can get across. Yeah, sure.
So this is for our next
in the future,
plans in the future.
So anyhow, that's kind of the update.
It was a long update.
Yeah, 15 minutes is okay. I mean, we're gonna wrap this up soon, anyways, because this is the first day of our first 2024 trip. So we have a lot of things going on this year. So right now, like I said, we're in Fussen, and we're going to do a loop in the next 2 days. We're going from Fussen to Murnau am Staffelsee, and then we're going to ride south to Garmisch, and then we're going to ride west to Plansee and back to Fussen over the weekend. So it's about 130 something kilometers in 2 days. So this should be quite nice, and it's not too hilly. It's quite manageable for the first time out. But then we have a big trip planned for the summer. Preview is we're riding from Liège, Belgium, all the way across France to Bordeaux, across about 3 weeks, something like this.
Yes, Eurovelo 3.
The Eurovelo 3. So
French part.
We will talk about that on another podcast, because I think this year we're going to do this regularly. Not only are we going to do it for our tours, but I think the idea that we decided is we're going to do it when we make a weekend. We're just going to record something, keep people informed. It's quite fun to do this. It's interesting to talk about where we go. It gives other people some inspiration, and I think it's a good idea to do this. So we're going to do this more this year, and maybe we do a video too a couple of times. Maybe
why not?
Try to do that. Yeah.
Why not?
So hopefully when you're listening to this, it sounds good, because when we tested this at home, the volume was really, really nice. And here in this hotel room, it's really, really low. And I don't know why. So we're going to see what happens, but I think it'll work out.
I'm sure you'll fix it. So shall we put it together?
I think we're going to put it to bed. That's a good place to leave it for now. Let's pick it up in the next day or two. Maybe we'll do one in the next day. A quick update, and then maybe we'll do something next weekend.
Of course, we have to do something tomorrow night after our first tour, when my butt will hurt, because like always I didn't train for anything. I just think, okay, I start riding.
I trained
a lot of cream on my sit bones, and everything will be fine. So let's check it out tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not going to be a problem. Okay. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and until next time.
Until next time. Bye-bye.